Hey guys, and welcome back to another 3D printing video, as you no doubt saw from the title. And the reason for the 3D printing videos at the moment is a bunch of our car projects are stuck in limbo. We are just about done with tuning the Birkin and the dyno video around that. We picked up a problem with the 370Z on the left back wheel, which we just about finished with, and we would like to release the video on that. And we are stuck with the low cost that we're building on account of waiting for the police clearance on the motor and gearbox combination that we bought. So can't really continue with that unless we have the paperwork in place. So for today's video, how does Jay Leno say? Pandemic edition. So I don't have a helper, I don't have Brendan yet to help me move camera around. Camera's on a tripod and I have to move it around myself to be able to get the shots. So this might be a bit wonky. But for today's video, what we're going to do, and thanks to the 3D printing shop for a really awesome deal, and we're going to unbox the Wanhao Duplicator D12 dual extruder printer. Now, to say that this is a dual extruder printer is a bit of a misnomer because it's a dual feed printer with a single extruder, which I think might actually work out better. Of course, you need to take into consideration that if you're going to do that, you need to always have a wipe tower on the side to be able to prime the head every time you change color, change filament. It is still possible to use a different filament for support structure and another filament for the main structure. An example of that, use PVA for your support structure, PLA or PETG or ABS or something else for your main structure. When you're done, you put the entire model into hot water, the PVA dissolves, it's gone, and then you end up with a pretty clean model. You can also then do a much higher density of support structure so that your model comes out a lot cleaner at the end of the day. Now you'll notice that when I start with the unboxing of this bad boy, it's completely sealed. This is not one of those unboxing videos where I went ahead and unboxed everything and quickly checked what's there so that I can be prepared. You guys are going to literally join me blow for blow as I open up the box, tear off the papers, and experience firsthand what it's like to unbox this printer, do the initial setup, and make the first print on it. Haven't decided what the first print is going to be either, but it will be something with multiple colors. Don't know what the colors are either. So come with us if that's something that you would like to see. Also, do remember to hit the like button at least. Apparently that's now the new thing on YouTube. Subscribers and all the rest of the stuff doesn't count all that much. Minutes still count, but the like button apparently is the thing. So more people hit the like button, the more Google suggests this video for other people to watch. Let's go.
A few minutes later.
I have to say I'm pretty impressed with this box that it actually came in. It's quite heavy and it's got proper handles and everything. I mean, at the end of the day, these things are manufactured in China. Don't be naive about it. That's where the stuff comes from. And you don't always expect decent packaging and shipping, etc. So far, this is actually quite cool. Alright. Box. User manual for people who can read. This is cool. A little getting started sheet. We'll definitely make use of that because it says assembly and installation. Hey, that's pretty cool. Set that aside. It's a bit loose. Oh, it must be loose at the top. Obviously we'll tighten that later probably. And it's numbered 3, 4, 5, 6. Power cord. Box of goodies. Opens, don't break the box, opens like like such. Ooh. Inside here we've got some what looks like PTFE tube, some kind of a support, looks like the filament detection thing. I wonder why there's only one here. This is supposed to be a dual extruder. This is not okay. Hang on, they gave me the wrong printer. Okay, so this is where this video stops. Apparently I received the wrong printer.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So I phoned the 3D printing store quickly to ask them about this box, and there's only one feeder and stuff inside there. They suggested that I unpack the printer and check the whole thing before I decide it's the wrong stuff. So I'm going to carry on. Let's see. Next portion is the main upright frame of the printer. I'm actually going to keep it just like this and set it aside until we require that portion. Wow. At the base, quite sturdy. There's a cable stuck at the back there. Another box. Ha! And here's another Bowden feeder. Another support. Another PTFE. USB cable. Spatula. Oh wow, this is really cool. Oh wow, this is really cool. Selection of very nice Allen keys. Even a 4 gig memory card. Wow, I'm seriously impressed. All the rest of the stuff we're looking for. So it seems the 3D printing store was correct. I should have just waited a moment. So this is what I meant. Single extruder head with a dual feed coming in from the top. And in the description they say that this thing has got 360-degree cooling. And this is quite a fancy little unit, very small. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is obviously where there's a RJ45 connector there. That's how the head obviously connects. Very cool. Let's carry on with assembly. So far, really impressed. Nothing else inside the box. Top tip, always when unboxing stuff, always check the boxes if there's no hidden parts inside there. The amount of times I've chucked stuff because it was hidden on a side or in a little pocket or something, I can't start to tell you. Instruction manual. Assembly instruction. Place the printer components onto a flat table. Please handle with care. As we did. Remove the protection foam and tape from position. This little ribbon cable over here it just seems to be able to come loose there, so we're not going to remove that right now. There's some foam stuck in the back over here. Oh, this mechanism is really smooth. Another piece of foam stuck into here. This is the magnetic build plate. This is so cool. Piece of tape in the front over here, piece of tape covering the little screen. Is limited to working voltage 220 volts. There's a adjustment in the front over here for the tension of the belt, and I've got this cord which seems like it's intended for the hot end on account of the RJ45 connector on the front over here, which looks very similar to what we saw in the box over there. Right, everything's held in place very nicely. Power connector on the side over here, power switch. And I don't see any other tape or anything points holding this in place. Right. Step 3. Put the printer base on its side. Install the printer tower onto the base, then use 4 pieces of M5 x 40mm bolt to lock the tower into the base. Note, on the base there's sticker number 1, and on the tower there's sticker number 1. So number 1 base match to the number 1 tower, number 2 base matched to the number 2 tower. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, so these things do have to come off because I found number 1 over there. Well, so far this stuff is really neatly packed. The picture over here is the back of the printer. Just keep that in mind when you do the assembly for yours. Still can't figure out how to attach this thing. Oh! There's some screw holes. 2 of them over there, 2 of them over here, and in the base you've got corresponding screw holes on each side. For this operation you're going to need those long screws, and there's a matching Allen key for it. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's just the 2 screws. I have to say, this is quite a sturdy frame. Nice. And then there's a bunch of cables here, and each one of them just only has one space where they can go into, so that's fairly self-explanatory. This guy's going to go to, oh, he goes here. Nice. Right, step 4. Install the printing head onto the gantry, then to lock the head with 2x M3 x 6mm locking screw. 6mm. Let's figure this one out. Okay. So the screws we have to use next are these little ones. It's too big, it's too small, just right. Tiny little screws. Right, there it is in place. Moves quite easily. And you can feel there's a bit of play here, but I'm assuming we're going to adjust the screw on the side over here a little bit later to adjust the belt tension 5. To push the printing head gently, ensure well secured, if not relock the bolts. Perfect. Find the E1 extruding mechanism, install it onto the left side. It is near the Z-axis screw of the tower. By inserting the block into the aluminium slot and twist the bolt mushroom head screw M4 x 5mm clockwise. Yeah, English. Beautiful. One of the cables got stuck under the frame when I screwed it in. So I'm just going to loosen the frame quickly to remove that cable.
Later.
All of that effort was just because the little cable, little C over here, got stuck under the frame. E1 is one of the Bowden feeders. E1. E2. Okay, so it seems the little screws we're looking for come in these packets, and they're numbered 4 and B. Handy though. K and M, while this one says N and L. So I'm going to take that as left hand one. More importantly, these little screws that come in that bag actually fit into the corresponding holes, little tie down thingies. You're still looking at the printer from the back right now, so that portion goes forward, this portion goes backwards. And it would help if I took E1 as instructed, because obviously the difference here is the positioning of the cable. You want that on the outside. There are 3 screws in each of the packets. Not exactly sure why, probably in case you lose one. Because there's only 4 nuts, sliding nuts here in the frame. I'm also positioning them right against the bracket. That's what the picture looks like. And that's where the cable actually reach. I also pick them up so that they don't rub up against the belt, because if you leave them, I think they will rub up against the belt. Okay, the further instruction doesn't say that we also have to do E2, and I'm running through the rest of the instructions very quickly. Yeah, we do get to it later. It's back to step 1. Oh, that's for the dual extruder. So you might as well go ahead and do it now. Remember to position the nuts in the frame before you install the stepper motor, so that you don't battle afterwards. Spot on. Step 7. Install the filament plastic holder onto the left stand and twist the nut to lock it. Then install the 2x M3 6mm bolts with the blocks. That's this guy over here, installed onto that guy over there. We'll figure out the orientation of this. Oh, this is the wrong way around. Okay, so I did it the wrong way around, that's what I mean. It needs to go like that. So obviously your filament can rest here without obstruction. You can install it sort of square for now. We can change it later. And since I've got the dual extruder version, I'm just going to do everything twice. These little holders here is intended for this cable that connects to the filament out, this guy. So they need to be on the printer side when you install them, so that the filament can run on that and the cable can run up in these little guides. For this exercise we're going to use the supplied nuts and little Allen bolts, and they're going to the bottom. Do install them on the inside rail so that they sit more flush as far back as possible. So here's a top tip. You can actually install the nuts onto the bolts here, because they just slide into the frame and then they twist into place. Makes it slightly easier. So that's what I'm talking about. Get the nuts onto the Allen bolts and then just insert these into the slides, and they're basically already where they're supposed to be. And then go ahead and install the little cable into the runners here and just clip them back in place, and then they are sort of where they're supposed to be. Right, what's next? Step 9. Install the filament sensor onto the cardan joint by one M3 x 8mm bolt. Then install the cardan joint onto the filament stand by 1x M3. Right, I'm assuming this is a cardan joint. Note that these filament detection units are directional, so they sort of have to show in the right direction. Also, it looks like the connector needs to go towards the printer. They are quite loose, and I think it's supposed to be like that, obviously because you don't want it to interfere with the flow of the filament in any way. Again, there's extras of the small screws as well as extras of the larger screws in case you lose one, which is really cool. Thank you, Wanhao. And yeah, so now I've got 2 extras of everything on account of dual extruder. Step 10. Twist the X-axis belt tension adjust knob clockwise to tighten the belt. You can check the tension by use one finger to push the belt. Either too tight or too loose would be perfect. Either too tight or too loose will be perfect. It's got a bit of movement in it. Kind of makes a nice sound. It moves freely. I'm just going to leave it like that. This one on top here doesn't appear to be doing anything. aside from keeping these things sharp. Oh, the one they want me to do is the one in front there, X. Again, seems to be moving freely. It's got some nice tension on it. I'm going to leave it like that. Step 11. Twist the Y belt, which is what I did just now. Adjust knob clockwise to tighten the belt tension. You can check the tension by use one finger to push. Either too tight or too loose would be perfect. 12. Insert the reinforcement rib the front groove. 3 corresponds to 3, 4 corresponds to 4, and tighten the screw. These guys. Okay, this one's 4, that one's 3. This is going to be interesting. The portion for which there's no instruction is the top of the support over here, how to connect that. And I do have some screws left, though I can't exactly figure out. So what I'm going to do, I've got these left, I'm going to put them in the slider over here and tighten them from the top. There doesn't seem to be any specific instruction of how to route or route, if you're in Australia, this this cable for the head. I'm concerned it's going to get caught up. I'm just going to chuck it over the side over here. It's got free movement. Can't say I'm thrilled about that. Everything else is so meticulous. These little orange tabs are to lock these, I don't know what you call them, where the little tubes go into, to lock them in place so that they can't accidentally pull out. And there's 4 of them, and obviously 4 slots, 2 on the head and 2 up here. It's obviously very important for these things to match up, because if you want to push a specific filament, it needs to know which one to push. That seems to be it. Remember I said everything else is so meticulous. I couldn't believe that the cable for the extruder just runs. Turns out, as I opened the instructional manual and I got to what looks to be about the first page, you can clearly see where the cable is routed. Runs up the back of the extruder over here and across, and I actually just put a cable tie on top there to make sure it stays in place. Also included in the kit, 2 tiniest rolls of PLA. So we shall print that first. And we've gotten to that point of the build where we are ready to set this guy up for the first time, which means we need to plug it into electricity. I use Octoprint via Raspberry Pi, and for that I need to also set up the Raspberry Pi. I might make a different video for that if I run out of stuff to do. For the moment, I dub thee Scarlet. This one will be called Scarlet. The other 2 are called Bumblebee because it's black and yellow, and Rome because Rome was not built in a day. This guy, Gold Scarlet. See you in a couple of minutes when I switch on and do the first initial setup, which is going to include bed leveling and all those fancy things. Before that, I'll install filament and whatnot first.
A few minutes later.
Right, and with that, we've now eventually gotten to the point where we can do some bed leveling. Now, for those of you who pay close attention, you can probably tell that I removed the magnetic bed thing here. I don't like it, because they scratched, and instead I replace it with a 2mm piece of obscure glass, which has got a very fine frosting on it, and I use this with some really cheap hairspray. Well, right now PLA, ABS and PETG will stick to that, and it's easy to remove and easy to keep clean. So I just bought a nice piece of glass here. So for the bed leveling, obviously the glass is way thicker than what that metal piece is that came with the printer. So I turned all of the knobs at the bottom over here until they locked. The bed is all the way down. This oak has got some really big knobs to turn here, which makes it really easy to adjust. clockwise depending on your orientation. Clockwise will lower the bed, anti-clockwise, as I'm sitting right now, will raise the bed. Settings, it's not settings, tool, leveling, and this is as easy as it gets because it gives you 5 spots on the bed to test, and you literally just tell this guy to go. Now what I have here is a little block of paper, and it's a really thin piece of paper. It's like one of those things that you would scribble notes on if you take a phone call or something like that, and I like to use that to do my bed leveling. And then I'll start turning clockwise. Sorry, I had that wrong earlier. Clockwise until it makes contact. There I can feel it's a little bit coarse as it pulls in out of there. Now it's not unusual to have to do this 3 or 4 or 5 times to be able to get it right. So be patient, do it a few times, get it perfect. You will thank yourself later. That was very quick. Three. I'm wondering if I actually did. I wonder if I didn't catch the clamp over here. That's okay, we're going to redo this in any case. 0.4. Now remember, the surface your printer stands on, everything really makes a difference over here. And 0.5. Now technically 0.5 should be sorted. It's not, it's low. So I'm just going to redo the process again. Leveling 0.1. It's a little bit tighter than how I want it to be. So 2 of my points were completely off. Yes, that feels a lot better. You probably can't hear this, but this is almost perfect. I'm going to do it one more time just to be sure. 2 thumbs up. Perfect. Now we can go and slice something and print, but that's going to be a video for a next time. Please like, share and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that. And always remember, life is too short to drive boring cars.